And here's your host, Amina Fakir.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amina Fakir. I'm pleased to welcome you to today's discussion on the spirit, persistence, and resilience of Black people in America, historically and in the context of current events. Our guests today are actors Ella Joyce and Carl Gilliard.
Actress Ella Joyce, who became a household name on the family sitcom Rock. Her long list of movie credits include Temptation, Preacher's Kid, Bub Hotep, and Set It Off. Ella is currently featured on a new streaming TV network called Urban Flix TV. The series is called Casting the Net, and Ella plays Mabel Singer, a casting director in Hollywood. Actor, producer, director Carl Gilliard, whose impressive list of film and television credits include Inception, Red Eye, Coach Carter, The Mansfield 12, House MD, and 24. He's currently creator, writer, executive producer, and star of the hit digital series 2 Degrees, now available for streaming on YouTube and Facebook. You can also see him in The Family Business on BET+.
Okay. Hey, Carl, Ella.
Hey,
Thank you for joining me today.
it's good to be here.
All
Happy
right.
to be here. Happy to join with you. And happy to see Carl.
Happy to see you too, Ella.
Okay, so we all know each other. We have history. Carl, I would like you to tell me what is a degree of separation, because I want to figure out how many degrees we are. Because
Well,
all of us,
we're only one.
okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought. Because
yeah,
we all have connectivity. Carl and I actually go back to MSU, Ella. I was
Wow.
a
1978.
freshman at MSU. That is when I met-
MSU. Yeah.
Okay, well now what about you two? How do you two know each other?
Rock.
We met on the set of
We've been on the
Rock
set of Rock.
a long time
Really?
ago. That would have
Mhm.
been the first season, right?
I don't remember what season it was because you remember when the show was live? Okay,
Yeah.
so Eileen Knight used to bring me in to rehearse with the cast because they would
Oh, so
stunt
that
cast.
would be our second season.
And I don't know which episode it was, but one of the episodes, we just hit it off.
Ella and I know each other through Junie. Junie is my production partner of about 30 years.
Wow.
And early on, when we were doing our films, Ella starred in some of the films, and that's how we met. But we are
Yes.
both, Detroit soul sisters who both claim, like you, had living in Chicago and Detroit. So we don't have any degrees of separation between
None.
us.
No.
Okay, so we have no degrees of separation.
No.
And you guys are also now on this show, which is talking about the kind of thing that we're living. It's connectivity, it's resilience, it's persistence. Ella was with me on Juneteenth because it fell on a Friday. And we're recording her show, so she actually lit a candle as a Juneteenth exercise. So she actually was a part of that too. So we are all connected in this. And then where we're shooting is in my house. I don't want to tell the whole story because she's going to tell it. But we needed to name the studio because we found a way to, out of no way, which is kind of another characteristic of ours as Black people. We made a way out of no way to shoot during the pandemic. And Ella said, we need to name your studio, which is really should be my living room, but it's a wonderful studio. And so we named it. And I said, well, we need something that explains a wonderful confluence of events, because just a whole lot of things had to happen for this to be going on. And then I was like, I know the definition of that phrase. And I said, serendipity. And she
Oh, I love
said,
that word.
isn't it wonderful? And
Mhm.
she said Serendipity Independent Studios. So the acronym would be SIS. And we just started screaming in the living room. In the studio.
Gave each
We
other
started
a
screaming.
high
in the studio.
five,
That's
6
right.
feet
I
social
love that word. I
distancing.
love that word. I love
So
that
that's
word.
the studio. Okay, so then what I need to hear is these persevering stories, okay? And because both of you have them, and now we've sort of established how we're all connected. So Ella, how about if we start with you? Tell us, 2020 was supposed to be in focus, clear, this amazing year of clarity, because that's what 2020 implies, right? And instead, it has been upside down, crazy in and outs. Tell us how it's been for you and how you have persevered to be here today.
Well, 2020 has been rough. I'm not going to say it hasn't been. It has been. So it's a matter of how you just deal with it. When it started out earlier this year, I was like, oh, we're going into the roaring 20s. Well, that started in March. It started roaring. And I was, on one sort of path, doing my thing, and all of a sudden we were shut down. No auditions, no, they closed down the dance studio that I was teaching my weekly exercise dance classes out of. Just everything shut down. And the amazing thing is that I never had to stop doing Funkicize, not 1 week since March, because Amina invited me into her beautiful living room, and we live close to each other.
That's right.
So we kept our distance. I came over in the mask.
That's right. Spraying everything.
Spraying and putting, gel on these.
Right.
And we sanitizing. And Amina had just moved into this house. So it was brand new anyway. So it was perfect to set up the living room into a studio. So the first Friday I came over, and I didn't know anything about Facebook Live. I didn't know anything about any of that.
I was learning too.
Amina really kind of, stepped me through it. She was like, well, I know a little bit about it. I said, well, you show me what to do. And then, she's a wonderful director. She laid out the background really beautiful. We did our first Facebook Live. I played some records and I danced, and she was doing camera work. I'm like, ooh, I'm real lucky. I'm getting close-ups and everything. And after that, we had all these people clicking in, viewing it.
Right.
From that point on, I have done Funkicize every Friday up until even last Friday.
That's right.
We have done Funkicize every Friday. We've got a growing audience. Last week we had something like 4,000 people.
That's right, over 4,000.
In to watch or to play it afterwards, after we do the live. On top of that, the television show that I had shot last summer for a new network, Black owned, was in the can, and they decided to launch it the beginning of May, and we were still under quarantine.
That's right.
So I had a TV show that was being launched while we were under quarantine, and nobody was shooting pilots. And so they've shown it. They're saying people love it. It looks like we'll probably get a second season.
Mm-hmm.
It just worked out through prayer and meditation and being true to who we are. We are artists. We don't wait for people to give us permission to express our art. This is what we do. We're artists 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
So you're either writing a script you're thinking about, you're doing your own TV show, you're creating something out of nothing all the time. We don't do this for money. It's nice to get paid, but that is not our motivating factor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Ella, let's pause right now and take a look at a clip.
A fake movie?
Think of it as, I don't know, a PR stunt.
Sweetie, releasing your own sex tape is a PR stunt. This is, I don't know, risky.
I couldn't just let him diss her like that, you feel me?
Come on, mother. What's up?
Whoa, nah!
Hey, you killed my homie, you know what time it is right now.
Ow!
My bad. That's me. Oh, I did not know it was loaded.
It's loaded.
Well, congratulations, Ella.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm always seeing connectivity between different art forms too. And there's usually a song or a poem or a piece of art that reminds me of something. And when I was thinking earlier today about what other creative entity reminds me of you, it was Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Because we were in fact like caged birds. And there were birds who were laying on the bottom of the floor crying, and there were birds saying the sky is falling. There were birds singing, and there was a bird dancing like no one was watching. But in fact, it turns out thousands of people have enjoyed it week after week after week. And I man the comments, so I know the kinds of things. People are saying, I love this. Are you going to do this every week? You know, it's now following you. It's been tremendous. I can remember when we were celebrating having 300 or 400 views, and then a couple weeks later, I was like, can this be right? This says we've had over 4,000 views.
4,000 views.
That is pretty incredible.
I need all of them to subscribe to Urban Flicks TV.
Right?
I need those
Right?
4,000 people.
And they will, though. They will. Keep talking about the show. They will.
TV.
Let's
So
get
we can get
all
that
the
second
connectivity.
season.
Now, my dear friend Carl, you and I have so many emotional ties.
Oh,
we can't
Lord.
even get into all of them today. Because, you
can't.
know, Carl, you're forever a part of my life on my road to becoming Miss Black America. My very first pageant, because I wasn't a pageant girl, I was an athlete. But Carl Gilliard actually invited me and is totally responsible for me competing in my first pageant, representing his fraternity as
That's
the
right.
first Miss Alpha Phi Alpha of the Gamma Tau chapter at
That's
MSU.
right, at MSU. Yeah. Yes.
When I left MSU and started my business, I started doing productions, and I had a big show. And I can only think of one voice to come and co-host with me, and that was Carl Gilliard.
Wow, that goes way back.
It does go way back. So I am pleased to have been in Ella's project, but I also was in Carl's project.
Yes, you
Tell
were.
us about your 2020 and your journey to the halfway mark of this year.
You know, just kind of trying to rise above the ashes and stay in the game. I've just found myself doing a lot of different things and just trying to get my life together and more clear and more focused. I've been working the whole time on a lot of independent films. I do a lot of independent films, but the network TV thing wasn't happening. The studio film thing wasn't happening. And back in the day, I used to do a lot of commercials. I haven't booked a commercial since like 2008. So I was just trying to find ways to just kind of stay in the game. So you're talking about the digital series. That was just a series of serendipitous events that kind of happened, and it happened very quickly starting in November.
Okay.
When my partner, Don Fullalove, so he is kind of a renaissance man. The guy is just, you know, he's been in the business a long time. He was an actor as a kid, but then he's become this huge guy in ADR and voiceovers, and just has a, you know, ADR equipment, sound, cameras, no experience in any way, you know, compared to your story, Ella. We're just two guys that said, let's do something together. Both of us are primarily actors and just guys. So he offered me the opportunity to just do something, and my wife pressured me like you would not believe, because Don had offered to do something. And so this whole 2 Degrees idea came about because people have always teased me about me knowing everybody. You know,
Absolutely.
Carl, you know everybody.
And I mean everybody.
Knows you. You know,
everybody, Carl.
So, and I don't really know how that's happened. And I always would say to my wife, I don't know why I know all these people. So I really created this series to kind of, the first season takes me from this very painful time of a really contested divorce and how I handled it. But I didn't want it to be a heavy show. I wanted to have fun. And so I just wanted to kind of dovetail that whole narrative with all these people I know. So, and that's what we did. So we just wrote this 6 episodes. They're, you know, all 8 to 10 pages long. And we just invited people to come on and do the show. And we've got, you know, everybody from Bill Dukes did it, Wendy Raquel Robinson, Kalita Smith, Amina, Karen Kendrick from Just Mercy, Sean Blakemore, Kim Whitley. I mean, we had all these people come in and do this show, and it came out really a lot better than we thought.
It's fantastic.
It just started off as like a, you know, a little fun thing we're just gonna kind of do just to do something, and it just kind of blew into this other thing. And as you mentioned earlier, when we first laid out the show, and I was laying out, you know, when we were shooting it, we were starting production on January 11th, shooting one day on the weekend, one Saturday or one Sunday. We ended on February 29th, and then of course the pandemic shutdown happened. So we ended up doing these confessionals. If you see my show, I do these confessionals. And I spent really the whole season trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to do those. And toward the end, it actually kind of came together. But we shot those in my living room on my iPhone. And I'm really proud of it. And it's just a lot of fun.
Yes,
So
and it's
that was
great.
it. Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at it.
Whoa, Carl. Did you just call a black queen a bitch?
No, oh. Well, yes, bitch, the adjective, not bitch, the noun. LaDonna walks on 2 legs, not 4, but bitch is a female dog, and that's not what I'm saying.
You know what? Shut up! You heard him, ladies. This is some bullshit, Carl. That is abusive. You are an abuser. You know what, ladies? Where are we going? I got it. The federal. Let's go, ladies. I got you, bitch.
I want to say, first of all, that I'm so pleased and proud of both of you. But of course, we did all of this and we all referenced the pandemic. And also there's the social climate that we've had to deal with. We got this happy going on with you and your events, Carl. Ella, you're dancing like nobody's watching, but 4,000 people are tuning in. Carl's laughing when he could have been crying. But there's a lot of both laughing and crying going on right now. What's the protests and the heightened images of discrimination, has that had an effect personally to either or both of you? If you would speak to that just a moment or so. Ella, you first.
Yeah, it's been hurtful, to say the least. It's been extremely hurtful. The hope comes in that this ugly cyst sore called racism is being exposed. And we're seeing so much that hurts us as a people. And I don't mean just Black people, because we're hurt. We know that. I'm looking at all of these boarded up signs that say, "Rest in peace, George Floyd." One sign said, "Protest like your grandma's watching." Another one is, "Rest in peace to Aubrey," to all these people. Girl, I just cried all the way home.
It has been a very emotional time for you, and I can share that because we've shared Fridays together through this. And there were several Fridays that you came in and just life outside of the door was really challenging. It was and it was for everybody. And there were times actually when we spoke on the phone and you even said, "I don't even know if I can dance tonight." And I basically said, there's a lot of people who feel like that, and their release tonight is looking forward to dancing with you. Put that music on and all of us suspending everything that's going on, shoring each other up. You carefully chose the music. Of course, my favorite choreography is Donny Hathaway when you do "Someday We'll All Be Free." Those are our ways of linking arms and seeing each other through. I mean, just like I would inspire you, you got to come on through. If you can do it at all, you're welcome in my house. You know it. I think you can do it. And every week after week, you did it, not only for you, for me, and for those people
as a public service.
Numbers were going up because of your public service you were providing. And Carl, if I may for a minute, you have a son. You have a young son like I do.
Yes.
And I mean, we have daughters too. And women are being targeted as well, but this sort of like, it looks like a war on African-American men, especially young men. And I've thought about you time and time again because your son is amazing and wonderful, but also young. He's an artist. He was there. He actually directed one of the episode that I was in of your show. He directed. I was so proud. In fact, I have a great picture of the two of us together. I'll be sure to put that up while we're doing that. But I haven't had a chance to ask you this. I kind of knew what Ella was going to say because Ella and I have been in communication, and I know we've been shoring each other up. We've been doing what our people have done all along to keep each other going. Those songs that the slaves sang, and we say it was so clever of them to come up with songs to say how we can escape and what to do. And in the historical context, it does look clever, but we do that same thing. When you think about "Someday We'll All Be Free," why would somebody write a song, "Someday We'll All Be Free," all these years after the Emancipation Proclamation? History, those are our clues, right? That even all those years later, we still are reaching for that. We're still yearning for that. We still don't have it. Change is going to come. Why are we singing about a change coming? You know why? Because that change hasn't been complete for us yet. So we, in our art, still shore each other up. At some point, you guys, I know it was a reckoning for me in February. Carl, you, Ella, you, sir, ma'am, are making history. I was invited to middle school in Santa Monica for Black History Month, and they actually recreated Motown. It was a celebration to Motown, right? So I was there, as a member of a Motown family and a former Miss Black America. I wore my gown and my crown, and they had everything, music, food, and this is, Santa Monica. But at one point, I realized they were all saying, what was it like back when da-da-da-da-da? And I was like, well, when did I become a historical figure? So I remember I was speaking to a group of 10-year-olds, and I said, so what do you guys consider history? And one of the girls said, well, we were born in 2010. So anything
Lord.
before 2010 is history. And I said, what about 1999? They were like, and I remember us, the three of us and our peers, looking forward to 1999 like it was some futuristic goal. Prince sang about it. We all danced to it, and we did all party. That is ancient history to these guys. So it's easy to lose track of where you are in history. But Carl, again, if you can just speak about this time in history and what you're doing.
It's like when I set on this journey, I didn't know what the eventual outcome would be.
Right.
In fact, I thought it would be quite different than it actually is.
Really?
It with regard to the pandemic and what's going on with the unrest and the things that are happening in our country today, the pandemic, first of all, was like a reset button. That's how I saw it immediately. It just felt like, and you even alluded to that. You touched on that earlier when you said, people who are less than are going to rise up, and people. So that really is the description and definition of a reset. When the stuff hit the fan with George Floyd, as painful and as crazy as that was in 2020, that is still more evidence of a reset. The stuff that's been coming to the surface, racism, and particularly in our law enforcement, but also in our culture. One thing that I see that's different, and I lived through the 60s, and I remember the 60s very well, is that there seems to be an overwhelming agreement that there has to be a change than what I've seen in past years. So I see it. So I see it as a reset and an opportunity for real change.
Okay.
And I'm very optimistic about that. I mean, I really am. I'm optimistic about it because I've never seen this before. And I'm eager to find out how this eventually ends up kind of closing up. And I just think that we are really kind of maturing as a country in a way that I hope will be better than it was. I'm just hopeful and prayerful that whatever has happened in the past, whatever events have caused all the disruption that we're experiencing is really painful, that we don't become something worse than we were before. That we instead become something better.
Amen.
And we as a people, we have to care for that. We have to as a people take ownership of that peace. That we take care of our young people, that we preserve our history, and that we continue to raise them and bring forth something that is better than what we had before.
Okay.
That's how I see it. Yeah.
I just want to add on that, if I can. What blew my mind about this whole time, like Carla's saying, that gives me hope because it's different, is when we got social media now that shows you everything that the news is not necessarily showing you.
Right.
And when I saw on social media that this protest exploded overseas, when I saw those people in France saying Black Lives Matter in French, when I saw the English people throwing down the slave trader statues into the English Channel, when I saw people all over the world shaking Black Lives Matter signs in every language, you can't ignore that. That's a global movement at that point. And that is what makes this so different this time.
Right.
Everybody, everywhere where racism has permeated their society, people are looking at that now.
Okay.
And that gives me hope for change in the world.
Okay. Well, speaking of hope for change, I asked you earlier, Ella, what Black historical figure most inspires you? And you did share with me that it was Rosa Parks, right?
I loved Rosa Parks. I was so inspired by her that I wrote a one-woman play on her, which I actually took around for about 5 years.
Coming. After a nationwide critically acclaimed tour, TV and film star Ella Joyce returns in a one-woman play, A Rose Among Thorns, a tribute to Rosa Parks.
I know they always talk about what I did, but it was what the driver did when he had me arrested.
The Winston-Salem Journal calls Ella Joyce's performance spellbinding. The Los Angeles Sentinel called her performance amazing. And critics agree, you'll forget that it's Ella Joyce on stage.
People always recall that story as if I were an old maid or something, as if I were alive during slavery.
One of the things that motivated me to write about Rosa is that when she passed, when they announced that Rosa Parks passed, the lady who refused to give her seat up on the bus, they kept saying, oh, she was just tired that day. She was a maid. And she was just too tired to get up. And I was like, that's not accurate. That's not correct. We can't let this stand as some myth that you're going to create about Rosa Parks. Emmett Till was on her mind. She says that in her book. So what I wanted to do, I was inspired to research her life and write the truth. About who she was and about what motivated her. I got tired of people calling her a tired maid. She was a seamstress. And so when I do the play, I'm sitting there the whole time sewing to keep that on people's mind. That she was a seamstress. She wasn't a tired maid. She was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Amen. Amen. Okay. Thank you, Ella. That was amazing. Okay.
I learned something right on that one right there.
Carl, I also had opportunity earlier to ask you what Black historical figure is most inspirational or motivating to you, and you shared with me that it was
Malcolm X.
Malcolm
and
X.
I have to even think about that. Because if you look at the life trajectory of Malcolm X, where he was born, his childhood, the traumatic loss of his father, slipping into crime and being a hustler, going to jail, and then transforming himself, or being transformed from that, who he became in his later years. Here was a man who was highly principled. He loved his family. He was apolitical. I mean, he was desperately anti-establishment politics. And when you go back and look at his videos today, I think we all can learn by going back and just kind of just reading his words, or just looking at it, all on YouTube, how we felt about how we should position ourselves as Black people today. It is eerily relevant. And I think the thing with Malcolm that I loved the most was he was ferociously pro-Black and unapologetically so, and I think also the whole thing about the Black family, which he was fiercely an advocate for.
That's right.
We have lost that. And as we mix and commingle our issues with those of others, it's not to say that those aren't relevant.
Right.
It's just to say that it ain't ours. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with Malcolm.
Okay. Okay. We have covered so much ground with my friends, and that's what I love so much. This is really a meeting of friends. I mean, you guys are both so near and dear to my heart. And when I step back and take a look at you and your lives and everything, I realize you guys are doing your thing in that history, on that history line. And I'm really proud. I salute you both. You're absolutely shining examples of that spirit of persistence and resilience that has characterized Black people in America from the time we got here. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't be here. Carl, the piece of art that reminds me of you is when you see those motivational, it's everywhere actually, it's on shirts, people have it in their desk, but these are people that take stumbling blocks and turn them into stepping stones.
Yes.
That's you.
I received that.
Absolutely.
I sure do. I received
Absolutely.
that.
I'm so very proud of you both. I'm sure Detroit is proud of you both.
Yes.
Chicago is proud of you both. Certainly LA, the place that we all call home now, has reason to be proud. I salute you both. Ella, you know you're my stone cold soul sister. I know we're going to do a couple of more Funkicide sessions. You guys should be sure to check those out on Friday nights, 8 o'clock, Facebook Live. This sister does it. From the boogaloo to the mashed potatoes.
I'm gonna shake the cobwebs off of my booty and get on that doggone thing on Friday. I'm gonna get on there and make a fool out of myself.
No, you know, I'm the camera person. So I go back and I play, I actually am one of those views that you have, Ella, because I go back and I dance to the replay. Because I have to hold the camera.
People are at home dancing, so nobody sees you. Y'all see me.
That's
so
a good part,
I
Ella.
tell everybody, you can dance in your pajamas if
Absolutely.
you want. Just do it on your pajamas. You're at home. It's 8 o'clock at night.
Absolutely.
Right.
You're done. You can just go to bed.
So though we couldn't get together in person and do this, this is just another example of how we make a way from no way, you know?
Yes.
We just take the technology that's available and we use it in new and different ways that perhaps we hadn't thought about. You with your Funkicize online on Friday nights, and Carl, you with your webinar series, which we are happy to promote for you again.
We're hoping also that Urban Flicks TV, Casting the Net, gets picked up for a second season.
Absolutely.
Whenever they start back rolling cameras.
Is the series up now, or it's up now?
Yeah, it's up now.
Because I only saw the trailer, so I'm gonna check it out. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
get one of those subscriptions.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll support you. You guys, thank you so much for joining me here.
Thank you
it
for
means
having
everything
me,
to
Amina.
me. I love you both.
Love you too.
I love you both too.
Peace.